Hello and welcome. This is Eric Thomas, the Director of Business Development with Equity Trust Company. Thank you for joining us today. We have a very special guest I'm looking forward to introducing him. As a matter of fact, I've been looking forward to this webinar all week. It's a very interesting topic. Mr. Warren Buffett has been in the news a lot lately. So as everyone knows, he's one of the best stock performers over the past 40 years. And with what he said, I'm very interested to see what our special guest has to say here today. But what we're going to learn about is how to invest in cash flowing rental properties in your IRA. What you'll discover tonight is who Alex Sifakis is with Jacksonville Wealth Builders, why all the big boys, Warren Buffett, Morgan Stanley, hedge funds, etc., are so high on single family real estate, the three characteristics all properties you must buy must have, the two key indicators that let you pick the best market to invest in, and your must-have teammates. This is a really important one from my point of view, so I'm interested in what Alex has to say about this. And the secret that can enable you to buy multiple properties using less than 3 hours per month of your time. As a real estate investor, I'm also interested in what he has to say about this too, right? So as you know, all Equity Trust webinars, this is for educational purposes only. If you're looking to make an investment, of course, you need to do your own due diligence. But we're very lucky to have Alex here with us today. Alex, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, man. How you doing, Eric?
I'm doing great. Thank you very much for taking time out of your busy schedule. Alex is the CEO of Jacksonville Wealth Builders, so we appreciate you giving us an hour of your time and helping educate Equity Trust clients.
No, I appreciate you having me on, man. I'm excited to be here, and I always love talking about real estate, so this is going to be fun for me.
Okay, great.
Well, guys, as Eric said, my name's Alex Sifakis. I am the president of Jacksonville Wealth Builders. We are a real estate investment company in Jacksonville, Florida, and what we do is provide totally passive turnkey real estate investments for our clients. Now, through this presentation, I'm going to be talking about us a lot, but what I want you guys to know is that no matter what you're doing in real estate, if you're using a company like mine to help you invest, if you're doing it all yourself, the information that I'm going to be talking about is extremely applicable to buying and holding cash flowing real estate and why it's such an amazing investment in today's market. So whether you're going to be using a company like mine to help you out or doing it yourself, all this information is going to be pretty good stuff. So we started the company, just to give you some background information on us, in 2006, which is about 6 years ago. And as you guys know, the real estate market was red hot then, and then it plummeted a little bit, which has been great for the current business that we're in buying and holding turnkey rental properties. But it has been quite a wild ride over the past couple of years. So over the past 6 plus years now, we've built an office of 17 full-time employees and done 395 real estate deals. And that was as of last week, so it's probably a little bit more right now. What my company actually does is we are out there every day buying single-family homes. So we go out there and purchase a single-family home. Then we totally renovate that property, new roof, plumbing, electric, everything. Then we put a tenant in the property, so now it's a fully renovated and rented property, and we sell it to a client of ours who's going to hold the property to get that rental income over the long term. Then we handle the property management for them afterwards. So if that tenant leaves, we place another tenant, we collect the rent. If the toilet breaks in the middle of the night, we handle that. So our clients don't have to do anything except actually buy the property, write the check to buy the property, and then cash the checks from the rental income that we're sending them every month. So it's a very passive, hands-off way to invest in real estate. This year, we are on pace to sell over 200 houses. We put our 100th house under contract just last week this year. So because of the amazing opportunities in the market, a lot of our clients are seeing that and they're buying a lot of houses. We are national speakers and real estate coaches. So we travel around the country helping out and giving seminars on how to buy and sell real estate. And we currently have investors in 26 different states and 7 different countries. Actually, it's 8 different countries now. We picked up a Hong Kong investor over the weekend. So we're still growing. Also, I wanted to mention that at the end of the webinar, Eric has a great special offer for you guys for me coming on and you guys want to learn about real estate, he's developed a great offer for you guys. So make sure you stay around till the end of the webinar. Also, I have an offer if you guys want to learn more, because we only have an hour to talk about this stuff here. I got a great offer for you guys where you can get even more information on real estate and passive income real estate in general. So in 2011, my company was named the third fastest growing company in Northeast Florida because, like I said, the market is so prime for buying and holding real estate. Prices have come down, rents are still up. There's a lot of people looking to get into buying and holding real estate. And my company was the third fastest growing company in all of Northeast Florida. And just last week, Eric, did you know about this?
No, I didn't. That's great. Look at you.
I put the caption on there. Mom and Dad were so proud. I was actually named one of the top 40 young professionals in Jacksonville. We had there was a banquet they had. My parents came up and they were all excited. So that was pretty cool.
Well, congratulations.
Yeah, thanks, man. This is a picture of our office on the left there. It's a 2,500 square foot converted house in Jacksonville. We're currently looking for more office space because having 17 people stuffed into that little office is not working so well anymore. And there's a picture of our team on the right there. That's us actually volunteering for Habitat for Humanity. About once a month, we try to take a half day and, we go do some sort of team building or volunteering activities. There's us building a house on the north side of Jacksonville. We try to really foster that team atmosphere for both the people that we work with and our clients. We call our clients part of our team too. So I'm going to tell you guys a little story here. I got a story for you. Eric, have you seen these pictures before?
I have seen those pictures.
You've seen those? All right. We got some. So on the left there, this is me, by the way. And on the left, you can see me covered in filth with my dogs licking at me because they can probably smell all this nasty stuff on me. I had just previously that day and night, you can see I'm holding a flashlight because I had gotten home about 10 o'clock at night. I was out checking out houses. So all these houses that we buy, we have to go inspect, to figure out what the repairs on them are going to cost and how much we can pay to buy them. So I was actually the guy who went out there, who looked at the houses, who crawled underneath them in the mud, as you can tell, who got bitten by spiders and all that to figure out what it was going to cost to fix up these properties and buy them. And on the right, Eric, you said you've already seen these, right? So you know what I'm doing there?
Right.
Yeah. So that is a picture of me wiping dog poop off my hands. And the reason I'm wiping dog poop off my hands is because I had been crawling under a house, and when I came out from underneath the house, I wasn't looking where my hand went and just put my hand right in a big pile of dog poop.
Yeah, everyone that owns real estate and does it themselves, they have a similar story, right?
Everyone does. I know you've done a lot of real estate yourself, Eric, so I know you probably have a lot of similar stories.
Yeah, real estate owners can relate to this.
So this is me a couple years ago. I was in the business doing all these things myself, and it was great because I liked it, and this was the business I was in. But this, it's not the best way to be doing real estate, being out there yourself and needing to keep a dog poop removal kit in your car, because this wasn't the only time this happened. Trust me. So nowadays, what I do is I have a team that helps me invest in real estate. So I don't have to do all this dirty work myself. So my team, my employees have been amazing for me by being able to do all the different parts of the real estate investment. So I don't have to go out there and crawl underneath houses and inspect them and, go find tenants myself and manage the contractors myself. And this same team that I've used to help me invest in real estate while not having to do everything myself is the same team that we use that our clients use to help them invest in real estate. Now, when I kind of give this presentation, everyone, there's always like some contractor out there who has bought properties himself and renovated themselves, and he's like, I don't need you to do this. I don't need a team. And I agree and I disagree with that statement. You know, a contractor who can find properties himself and has fixed up properties and he knows how to renovate them, he doesn't need me or a company like mine to invest in real estate, but he still needs a team. He's going to need people to help him. He's going to need a closing agent, right? He's going to need a title company or a real estate attorney to close the transaction for him that knows what they're doing. Yeah. Or he's going to need a insurance agent, a competent insurance agent to help him get the best pricing on insurance. So no matter where you are in the real estate spectrum on doing it yourself or handling it, you know, doing it passively and having someone else handle it for you, you're always going to need a team to help you invest in real estate. So today, Eric briefly touched on this, but what we're going to go over is why real estate today is a can't-miss opportunity, the 3 characteristics that all properties you buy must have when you're buying cash-flowing real estate. So once again, today what we're talking about is buying and holding real estate for long-term gains, where you have a property, you got a tenant in there, they're paying you every single month, it's paying down your mortgage, and over time you're going to hope that the value of the real estate goes up and the value of the rental goes up. But in today's market, you don't even need those things to make it a profitable investment, which we're going to talk about later.
So Alex, just out of curiosity, so when you figure, you know, what your profitability is, do you factor in appreciation here?
No, not at all.
Oh.
We don't factor appreciation in on any of our you know, returns. When we're talking about returns, appreciation is not factored in at all.
Okay, great.
Yeah. It's not something you can count on in today's market. Over time, you know, it should happen, but you do not want to count on it when buying properties in today's market.
Okay.
So we're going to talk about the 2 key indicators that let you pick the best market to invest in, your must-have teammates and how to find them, and how to buy multiple properties using less than 3 hours per month of your time. It is possible. All right. So why is real estate such an amazing investment in today's market? Here is an article that came out on FloridaRealtors.com. This is a publication that goes out to all the Florida realtors. You guys can see they were talking about the rental market being the sweet spot in real estate. And this article came out September 8th, 2011, which is 7 or 8 months ago now, about 7 months ago now, where it says the rental market is continuing to heat up and can offer potentially big returns for buyers willing to jump into the landlord role. This was about 7 or 8 months ago. People were just starting to see, you know, these rents creep up and prices still staying low. Well, the market has definitely heated up. Now, another article coming out from Florida Realtors, April 2nd, 2012, investment home sales surged 64% in the past year. So all these investors, both mom and pops, companies like mine, people like clients of ours, and hedge funds and institutional investors have been seeing these amazing returns that are possible with investment real estate, and they are jumping into the market and taking advantage. Here's another article that came out from Florida Realtors talking about real estate economists being optimistic about the real estate market. You can see here that where I highlighted in yellow, real estate economists and analysts are increasingly optimistic that the housing market will have a dramatic recovery in the next 2 years, according to results of a new semi-annual survey of a bunch of economists and analysis. So because of all these investors that are seeing these great returns you can get and jumping into the market, it's really helping soak up this inventory and bring back this recovery. I was actually talking to an REO agent the other day, and I'll take a step back here and explain what an REO agent is. Most of the properties that we're buying nowadays are bank-owned homes. So the bank is foreclosed on them, and we're buying them from the bank and from the real estate agents that list the properties for the banks. And so I have very good relationships with a lot of the larger REO agents. And REO stands for real estate owned. That just means a property that has been foreclosed on by the bank, and now the bank owns it. It's called an REO. So I talk to these agents all the time, and one of them was telling me that in Jacksonville right now, there's only a 2-month supply of REOs on the market. So they're getting snapped up at a rate that only leaves 2 months of inventory on the market. If you guys know, 6 to 9 months is a normal market. Anything less than 6 months of inventory is a seller's market. It means properties are flying off the shelves. So 2 months of inventory is extremely low.
That's very low from what I'm seeing around the country. That's incredible.
Yep. Bank-owned properties, they price them low and people are buying them up quickly. So, and here's what we were talking about this, the big boys and Warren Buffett talking about real estate, and actually not just talking about it, but getting into it. We're hearing from all over about institutional investors, and an institutional investor is someone like a hedge fund or Morgan Stanley or someone like that they see the opportunities in single-family real estate because prices are low and rents are high, and you can get great returns just from the rental income. This is an article about Waypoint, which is a private equity fund that's buying property out in California and just holding on to them and renting them out because of the amazing returns you can get from it. And last but not least,
here we go.
Warren Buffett himself. And Warren Buffett, I'm sure you guys know, probably the best investor, in U.S. history. And he's always been very high on stocks and equities and companies. But he went on CNBC a couple weeks ago and said that he expects single-family real estate to outperform the stock market in both the short and long term. If you can see right there in the article, it says single-family homes are a very attractive investment right now because of these fundamentals in the market that are making it such a great opportunity to buy. I'm sure you guys have seen this before. Where, 90% of millionaires are millionaires because of real estate. And the reason that is because over time, historically, rents have gone up and properties appreciate. So you can buy a property and your mortgage payment is going to stay the same. Your costs are going to stay the same, but over time, the value of the property goes up and the rents go up. So you can collect rental income and get this current return on your investment. And also your rents will go up, so you get increasing income, and the property appreciates, so it increases in value. And this is happening in today's market right now. You can see, this is an article from the Florida Realtors magazine where investors are seeing bigger profits from rising rents. October 27, 2011, rental demand and prices continue to soar, and investors are cashing in. Rents are rising at a 5.17 annual rate. Traditionally and historically, rents rise at about a 3.2% rate. And so they're rising faster than normal because of this great demand for rental property right now. And our article that came out with Freddie Mac's demand surges for rental housing. So we know rents are rising. In Jacksonville, home prices are rising as well. And this shocks a lot of people, even in Jacksonville. But this is information that I pulled right directly off the Jacksonville MLS, the multiple listing service, which is the database that all realtors use to find and research properties, that over the past year, March to March, the median home price in Jacksonville has risen 6.7%. That shocks a lot of people, but we're starting to see this happening in today's market. So real estate is a great investment because over time, rents go up and properties appreciate. Except that you don't want to make buying decisions counting on that. In today's market, you do not factor rents going up or properties appreciating in to your buying decision when you're buying properties. At least you shouldn't. Because it's like gravy if that happens. Because we've seen, back in 2006, a lot of people were counting on appreciation and a lot of people got hurt because it didn't happen, and properties depreciated, which had, it never happened on a national scale before, but it did happen. And it's great that happened because prices falling 30 to 50% is what has created this perfect storm that makes rental properties such an amazing investment. So even though over time, yes, properties probably will appreciate and rents probably will go up, you don't buy properties in today's market counting on that.
So when you look at your return on investment, you're just looking on a cash-on-cash basis.
You're talking about cash on cash. So if you're bringing in, $10,000 a year, and you paid $100,000 for that property, that's a 10% cash-on-cash investment. You're not factoring in appreciation or rents going up. Today, in today's market, you want to buy a property that is going to pay you every month, even if property values never go up and rents never increase. And you can do that. In today's market, you can buy properties and get consistent 8 to 10% cash-on-cash returns just from the rental income after all your expenses. So after you pay your property taxes, your insurance, your maintenance, your vacancy, if you have a mortgage payment, that's those sort of things. And you can still get these great 8 to 10% returns. And then when over time rents go up or properties appreciate, it's like gravy. Here's an example deal, actually. This is a property that my company, Jacksonville Wealth Builders, sold to a client of ours. Now, it's not the prettiest house, right? Eric, would you want to live in that house?
Well, I don't think I'd want to live in it, but depending on what the return is, maybe I'd want to own it.
Exactly. And when you're buying income-producing real estate, it doesn't have to be pretty. It just has to give you that amazing return. And I'm going to talk later about where you want to buy, and you don't want to buy, and we advise our clients not to buy in the really low-income, high-crime areas. So you don't want to buy in the low end of the market. You want to buy in the middle of the market. And this is where this property is. In Jacksonville, this is on the west side of Jacksonville, which is like a blue-collar, middle to lower middle-income neighborhood. But look at the numbers on the deal. Our client bought this property for just over $80,000. It rented out for over $1,200 a month, which gave our client a net cash-on-cash return of 12.7% after expenses. 12.7%, not counting appreciation, not counting increase in rents. So now this deal, I'm showing this deal because this is a great deal. It rented out for more than what we would normally rent this property for. Normally we figure this property rent for about $1,100.
So this is above average for
12.7% is above average. This one's a home run. But our client got all that benefit of that. We sold him the property. He was expecting an 8 to 10% return. We over-rented it and knocked it out of the park for him, and he got all those benefits. But these kind of returns are possible in today's market.
When you figure your ROI, Alex, how long do you factor in that the house remains vacant per year?
What we do is we tell our clients to escrow 10% of the rent for maintenance and vacancy. So if you're collecting, let's say, $1,000 a month in rent, you want to take 10% of that, which would be $100, and put it aside, and hold on to that, thinking that over time you're going to have maintenance, you're going to have vacancy, and you're going to use that money that you've been saving to cover those expenses, so you don't have to come out of pocket for those things. Right now, and I'll talk about this a little later when we talk about our property management, we're running just under 5% for vacancy, and right around 3% for maintenance costs right now. So we say 10%. We tell our clients to hold on to 10% of the money, but we're actually under that right now.
That's good. That's below average.
Yeah. And it has a lot to do with, when you're talking about your maintenance and vacancy, it has a lot to do with the area your property's in. If you're in those lower income areas, you're going to have more maintenance, you're going to have more vacancy because you're normally getting, a worse tenant who might skip out on you, who's going to beat up your property. And also it has to do with your property management company making sure that they're only putting in the right type of tenant. So, and I'm going to talk about property management later, but you really need to screen your tenants on the front end to make sure you're only putting in good tenants that are going to pay you rent, and then you can keep those numbers down, which we do for our clients.
Makes sense.
So now you guys know why real estate is such an amazing investment in today's market and why all the big boys think it is. So we're going to talk about some property specifics. So you want to buy properties that have a max rent multiplier of 100. Now the rent multiplier is just the price of the property divided by the monthly rent. So if you have a $100,000 property that rents out for $1,000 a month, that would be a rent multiplier of 100. You take 100,000, divide it by 1,000, you get 100. The lower the rent multiplier, the higher your returns are going to be. Because if you figure with that example, if that same $100,000 property rented out for $2,000, then your rent multiplier would be 50. You see how that works? So the higher the rent and the lower the price of the property, the lower the rent multiplier. And this is important because it really determines your returns. Most of the properties that we're selling have rent multipliers between 80 and 90. And it's possible to get these very low rent multipliers with the low prices of today's market and, comparably high rents. And you don't want to go higher than 100 because that's going to start lowering your returns. And really, you don't need to. And we're going to talk about that a little bit more later. You want to buy in blue-collar neighborhoods. The second characteristic your property should have is that you want them to be in blue-collar neighborhoods, not the low end of the market where you might be able to, get a little bit lower rent multipliers so it looks like it's going to be a better investment. But then because you're in a high crime area, you have higher maintenance, you have higher vacancy, you got to wear a bulletproof vest to collect your rent, which you don't want to have to do. So, yeah, you've bought some of those properties before, haven't you, Eric? I can tell by that laugh.
Well, yeah, I have a few.
So it's not advisable to do that. And you don't want to buy on the high end of the market either. So, the really nice neighborhoods, you might be really proud to own the house and you might want to live in it yourself, but you're not going to get the same returns as you can in the middle of the market. In a higher price neighborhood, a really nicer neighborhood, you're not going to get that rent multiplier of 100. It's going to end up being higher because as property values go up, rents go up, but not in a parallel relationship. So normally, if you're buying a house for $100,000, in Jacksonville, that, $100,000 house, I'll just talk about our typical investment. A typical investment for us, we sell for between $80,000 and $90,000, and that property rents out for $1,000 to $1,050 a month. Now, if you go into a nicer neighborhood in Jacksonville, you might be able to buy a property for $200,000 that rents out for $1,500 a month. That would be the example of what a $200,000 property would rent out for, about $1,500 a month. So your cost of your property went up by, over 100. It more than doubled, but your rent only went up by 50%. So your costs, your mortgage, your taxes, your insurance, all those expenses went up more than double, but your rent only went up 50%. Your income only went up 50%. So it's going to give you lower returns.
So the ROI isn't there. Yeah.
Exactly. It's going to give you that lower ROI.
Yeah, I was in Boston over the weekend doing a tax-free wealth, and same scenario. It was a little bit more. The average where we had the tax-free wealth, the average rental house you could pick up for $450,000, but the rent returns were only $2,500, right? So much lower return on your ROI.
That's what the market's like in Boston. You buy the property for $450 and it rents out for $2,500.
Yeah, it was $450,000 and the return, $2,500 a month.
Wow. And we're gonna talk about location a little bit later too, and how to pick the best markets to invest in. Which leads pretty well into that. And the last thing that your properties must have when you're investing in long-term cash flowing rental property is you want to have the 4 main systems upgraded. 4 main systems are roof, plumbing, electric, and AC. And you want to make sure that these 4 main systems have been upgraded because these are the high cost items when you need to replace them. They're going to be very expensive. If you need to put a new roof on a property, that's $5,000 to $8,000. So you want to make sure when you're buying these properties, you're factoring in replacing all these things on the front end because it's going to lower your maintenance costs, which will give you higher returns. Also, when you have your property's in better condition, you're going to get a better quality of tenant. If you've got a property that has a leaky roof, a a good tenant probably is not going to want to live in your house. Now, you want those 4 main systems to be upgraded: roof, plumbing, electric, and AC. What you don't need to do is renovate the property to a quality where you would want to live in there. I talk to investors all the time who are just, they're doing their rental property on their own. Maybe it's their first property, or maybe they've done a bunch, but they're putting in, frameless glass shower enclosures or hardwood floors. And these kind of things just aren't necessary. It's not where you want to spend your money, because you're not going to get that much higher rent for those things, and it costs a lot of money to put into them. So when you're renovating rental property for yourself, or when you're buying rental property from someone else, you want to make sure that those 4 main systems have been upgraded: roof, plumbing, electric, and AC. And that's going to keep your costs down going forward. All right. The 2 key indicators to picking the best market. So when you have, the entire U.S. as a place where you want to invest, and you're trying to figure out where the best market to invest in is, the 2 key indicators are high cash flow. Number 1. 1A is also high cash flow. 1B, high cash flow. And number 2, high potential for appreciation. So as you guys can see, we are very high on cash flow. What your current return is just from the rental income on your property. That is number 1A, 1A, and 1B when you're deciding where to buy a property.
So,
and
Alex, if I understand you here correctly, what we need to look for is high cash flow. Is that
Thank
what
you,
we're looking to do here?
I'm glad that came across in the slide as important.
I'm from Texas, so we're a little bit slower. But I think what you're trying to say here is you want to look for high cash flow. No,
come on, Eric. You guys are a lot slower in Texas, so not a little slower. So I'm glad you got that.
Oh, okay, all right.
So yes, from your current rental income, what returns is your property giving you every month? And then if you find markets that are similar, so if you have 2 markets that have very similar cash flows, then you want to figure out which one has the greatest potential for appreciation. So I'm going to talk about Jacksonville and why I think Jacksonville is the best market to invest in. And obviously, I'm biased. My company sells properties in Jacksonville, Florida. But what I'm going to talk about is the fundamentals of what makes a market a good market to invest in. And you guys can take this and apply it to any market, to your market, or when you're looking at other markets, and do your own research and figure out what the best market to invest in is. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is price. Expenses. So here's 2 properties. On the left, the property at 3536 Madison Street in Carlsbad, California. This is a property that was actually renovated by some investor friends of ours, Fortune Builders, which they're a real estate investment and coaching company that's based out of San Diego, California. They've actually been our mentors for the past 6 years. We met Fan and Paul a long time ago, and they have really been instrumental in our success in giving us the systems and the basis that we use to build our business. And we travel around the country helping them out and doing seminars with them. And we toured this property when I went out to California. It's about 1,045 square feet, 3-bed, 2-bath, nice little home. And then, so on the right, you can see a property in Jacksonville on 4442 Georgetown Drive. Very similar properties. They even look kind of the same, about the same square footage, 3-bed, 2-bath. Eric, what do you think the cost of the property in Carlsbad was?
Well, judging by the addresses of the 2 places, I'm going to guess that one is around $90,000. That'd be the one in Florida. I'm going to guess the one in California is somewhere between $600,000 and $700,000.
You're pretty close, man. So the property in California, $517,000 for 1,000 square feet, which is just crazy to me. The property in Jacksonville, $80,000. Now, when you're looking for a market to invest in, price is very important. because, like I said, rents will rise with price, but not in a parallel relationship. That property in Carlsbad that sold for $517,000 only rents out for about $2,000 a month, whereas that property in Jacksonville, Florida, that we sold for $80,000 rents out for $1,000 a month.
And why is that, Alex? I mean, you see that all over the country. You know, some places you can pick up a rental house for 80 to 100,000, and even in some cities lower than that. But in a lot of cities, major metropolitan areas, the houses are more expensive, but the rents don't keep up with the price of the house. Why are you seeing that?
Hold that question for about 45 seconds, Eric.
Okay, you're going to get to that. Okay, great.
I get that question all the time, so I'm ready for you.
Okay.
So the reason that price is important is because the higher you pay for a property, obviously the higher your expenses are. The higher your mortgage, the higher your taxes, the higher your insurance. And also rents are normally comparatively lower. So even though you're paying 5 or 6 times as much for the house, you're not going to get 5 or 6 times as much in rent. So here's just a slide showing Jacksonville rent versus home prices and why it's such a perfect market to be investing in. What you want to look for when looking for a cash flowing market is a market where the median home price is lower than the median home price for the country, but rents are higher. So you're trying to find a place that has low prices and high rents. And this seems very obvious to people, but it's not something that, it's something you really need to put in front of people for them to see it and understand that you can actually find markets like this where prices are low and rents are high. And Jacksonville is one of them. The median home price is about 20-something% lower than the median home price for the U.S., but rents are about 7% higher. And this is it's a very rare market to be able to find this. There's only a couple other markets in the country where you can find comparably lower prices and higher rents. Most of those are in, middle America, slow growth states. And we'll talk about that in a little bit too. But just in, as a concept, low prices and high rents will get you the best cash flow. Now, what Eric said was, he asked the question, why does this happen? Why in some markets do you have lower prices and higher rents? And why in some markets, like, California, do you have a property that sells for $500,000 but only rents for $2,000 or $2,500 a month? And the reason is simple. It's just supply and demand. Some markets have a greater demand for rental housing because of the fundamentals of that market. As you can see here, in Jacksonville, 34% of the residents rent. For Florida as a whole, only 25% of the residents rent. In Jacksonville, the average vacancy rate is 10%, whereas for Florida as a whole, the average residential vacancy rate is 16%. So the only thing that affects prices ever is supply and demand. The market is going to set pricing. The higher the demand, and the lower the supply, the higher the price. And there's certain markets that are a perfect storm of high rental demand and low rental supply, and Jacksonville is one of them. And there, like I said, there are some other markets, most of them in middle America, slow growth states, that can have these same kind of fundamentals. Now, the next question I always get is, well, why does this happen in Jacksonville? What about the market makes it like that? And in Jacksonville, it has a lot to do with the high military presence. So there's 2 very large military bases that I think influences it a lot, where you have people who are coming in, they don't know how long they're going to be there, and so they're looking for rental property for the time that they're in Jacksonville. And there's other factors that go into it, and I'm currently doing more research on the market to figure out why it is, but the main factor is that it's there, and with the fundamentals there, it makes it an amazing place to invest in rental property. So why is Jacksonville the best place to invest in rental real estate? You got cash flow. Cash flow like it's coming out of a fire hose. straight into our clients' wallets and pocketbooks. So cash flow is number 1, 1A and 1B, right, Eric?
And I think it was even 2A, wasn't it, on there too?
No, two is different. Do you remember what number two was? Let's see if you were paying attention. What was number two?
Appreciation.
Potential for appreciation. So
there you go.
Once again, I want to reiterate, you do not buy property planning on appreciation. Your first and numbers 1A and 1B are on what the current rental income is and your returns and your cash flow. But if you have two markets that have similar cash flows, then you need to look at which is in the long term, which is going to make you more money by rental and property appreciation.
Makes sense to me.
Makes sense to me too. So what drives appreciation? Got any guesses, Eric? What drives prices in anything? It's supply and demand.
Supply and demand, right.
Supply and demand. So the demand for housing is based on population growth. If the population is growing, there's increased demand for housing, prices are going to go up. Now, I talked about these slow growth Midwestern states, places like, in Tennessee, like Memphis, Indianapolis, Detroit, are current markets where you can get very similar cash flows to Jacksonville. But, historically, those places have appreciated at 1% rates, 2% rates, where historically Jacksonville's appreciated at 6% rate. And as you can see from the pictures, there's a clear reason why. Where would you rather live? Eric, where would you rather live?
Jacksonville or the
Can I plead on the left? Yeah. What was that?
I will say I like the beach. How about that?
All right. Me too. I actually live that picture on the right is a picture of the amphitheater in Jack's Beach. I actually live about 4 blocks away from there. And just last week they had a blues festival going on out there. They were loud as heck for like 3 days. But it's a good time. There's a lot of things in Jacksonville that are encouraging this population growth. I mean, it has a lot of great natural amenities. So population growth is a big thing. Over the past 10 years, from 2000 to 2010, the population in Florida grew by 2.8 million people, which, half of that was in the middle of a recession. And you still had a huge group of people moving to Florida and Jacksonville because, there's no income tax, you have the great weather. There's always going to be people moving to Florida, which is why it historically appreciates at such a high rate. The next thing you want to look for a great market to invest in, and which does influence population growth, is jobs. People aren't going to move there if they can't find work. Jacksonville, in particular, has 8 Fortune 1000 companies headquartered here, has a very strong private sector. It's a huge logistics capital with the port. In 2014, I don't know if you guys know this, but in 2014, they are widening the Panama Canal. And these gigantic ships, they're calling them Panamax ships, which they haven't been able to go through the Panama Canal because it was too narrow, are going to be able to travel up through the Panama Canal. And the first central hub that they can get to coming up the east coast of Florida is Jacksonville, because, you can go to Miami, but then you still got to bring it all the way up the coast of Florida. If you go to Jacksonville, you got I-10 that runs straight across the country. You got 75 that runs diagonally up the country, and you got 95 running straight north. So it's a perfect logistics hub. And Greg Rand with Own America went on Fox News a couple months ago, and he picked Jacksonville as the number 1 place to invest in the entire country because of the growth they're expecting from the port. They're expecting the population to grow by 50% over the next 10 years because of the huge influx of jobs the port is going to bring. So those are just some things, when you have this great private market and great job growth, and you're going to have population growth. It's very important thing to look for.
Yeah, I saw when he said that. He's actually going to be in Houston and Dallas with me at our tax-free wealth seminar in late May. So I'm looking forward to working with him. Yep, he sure is.
Really? Yeah, Greg's awesome. For those of you that don't know Greg Rand, he's the owner of Own America, which is it's a nationwide real estate brokerage, and he's investment advisory firm, and so he's coming to the tax-free wealth seminars.
Yeah, he sure is. He's going to start doing most of them with us. Yep.
That's awesome. That's definitely a great addition to those seminars.
Looking forward to it.
You guys are so good, man. You're always increasing the value for your clients.
Well, that's what we try to do. It's all about education, right?
Yep, absolutely. So, also in Jacksonville, going back to the jobs, where there's a huge government presence in Jacksonville, where you have Mayport Naval Station, you have NAS JAX, two huge government, or two huge Navy bases. You have the Jacksonville and Florida government, Duval County Public Schools, and this huge government presence is great when the economy is in a down cycle, like it has been the past couple years, because government employees don't lose their jobs when the economy goes down, which was why even in the height of the recession, Jacksonville had the second lowest unemployment rate of any large Florida city. And the only city that had a lower unemployment rate was Tallahassee, the capital, because it's all government jobs there. So when you combine that great private sector with a large amount of government jobs, you get a stable base for high growth in the great times, and you have people keeping their jobs in the recessions. There's been a lot more stuff about Jacksonville jobs. Jacksonville unemployment rate drops again. This just came out in March, where the unemployment rates dropping all over Florida and in Jacksonville in particular. And the next thing you want to look for when you're looking for a market to invest in, like I said, I am obviously biased about Jacksonville. I own a company in Jacksonville and selling properties in Jacksonville, but I'm not the only one who's picked Jacksonville as a great place to invest. Like I talked about earlier, Greg Rand, he owns a nationwide real estate brokerage, picked it as the best place to invest. So you want to find other people, publications, people who know what they're talking about, picking, these markets as great places to invest. And Jacksonville has gotten a lot of great press about it. This is Personal Real Estate Investor Magazine, an article that came out about the top 10 high turnaround markets. Well, Jacksonville was number 4. And the 4 above it, as you can see, are in California and Maryland, which are higher priced markets where you're not going to be able to get the same cash flow. So as far as a cash flowing market, Jacksonville was picked, number 1. This is an article that came out in Builder Magazine. They picked the healthiest housing markets. It was the mid-2011 update. They picked Jacksonville as the number 4 healthiest housing market. Here's Kiplinger's came out with an article, the top 11 comeback cities for 2011. And Jacksonville, Florida was on there as one of the top 11 comeback cities. Continuing, here's that. This is a screenshot of when Greg Rand went on Fox News. You can see here you got little Fox News logos there. So Greg Rand went on Fox News and picked Jacksonville as the number 1 place in the country to be investing in. And if you guys can see here on the blue bar below the big logo, Greg Rand expects the population to grow at least 50% over the next 10 years, which is just an insane amount of population growth and is really going to drive that appreciation. So why Jacksonville? Why any market where you're investing in cash flow? Those are the things that you want to look for when you're picking your market. Why I think Jacksonville is the best market to invest in, but those are the things that you want to look for when you're picking a cash flowing market. All that stuff make sense, Eric?
It does make sense. I mean, as a real estate investor, myself, everything you said would be exactly what I would look for when I was going to buy a property. So it all makes sense to me.
You've been taking notes? You learning some stuff?
Well, I've got, even though I'm from Texas, I have a pretty good memory. So I haven't taken any notes, but it all does make sense.
All right, as long as it's sinking in.
All right.
So the next thing that we're going to be talking about is your must-have teammates who you're going to need to help you invest in cash flowing real estate and take advantage of the best real estate market of the last 80 years. So, 2 years ago, we were in the worst real estate market, the worst recession of the past 80 years. Well, now is going to be the best time to buy of the past 80 years. And in 10 years, people are going to be kicking themselves for not buying property in 2012. So who are the teammates you need to help you out? If you're going to be investing in cash flowing real estate, in rental property, the number 1 teammate that you're going to need to find is a property management company. They're going to be so key and instrumental in your success, because it doesn't matter how good you buy a deal or how good you are at fixing it up. Let's say you're a contractor. If you don't find a property management company that can effectively screen your tenants and fill your property and collect your rent and do those things correctly, it's not going to be a fun investment for you. And you can do it yourself if you have the time. Property management is a very time-intensive job. So unless you do it full-time, I wouldn't recommend doing your own property management. Although some people might like to do that, some people might be very good at it. So to each their own. The second thing you're going to need is realtors to find your property. So realtors, obviously, they have access to the multiple listing service. They know the good deals that are out there. And preferably the top REO agents. So the people who have the connections to Bank of America and are listing Bank of America's properties. Those are the people that we have connections with that tell us about the great deals before they hit the market, so we can get them before everyone else and buy properties cheaper than everyone else. Those are the relationships that you want to have to find those great deals and buy those properties. You're going to need to have contractors, finding contractors to fix up your property. Over the last 6 years, we've weeded through a lot of bad ones, and there's a lot of bad ones out there. So you gotta find good contractors that are going to do the job right and not overcharge you and fix your property the right way. You're going to need a title company, so a company that will handle the closing of your property, the transaction, all that. You should probably get a real estate lawyer, a CPA. You can handle your taxes. You're going to need a lender, conventional lender if you're buying properties or refinancing properties you're fixing up. When you're buying properties that need repairs, you can't go to a bank, so you're going to need a hard money lender in order to buy them. So the hard money lender is someone who will lend on distressed real estate. So you buy a beat up property that needs a ton of repairs. Like I said, a bank is not going to lend on that. The hard money lender is the guy who will loan you that money at very high interest rates. Right now, hard money normally goes for about 15% interest and 5 points. A point is 1% of the loan amount. So if you're getting a loan for $100,000, you're going to have a $5,000 fee and then be paying 15% interest on that. That's about normal for hard money rates right now. But you're going to need them, unless you have your own cash, you're going to need them in order to buy a property that needs repairs. And the list, it goes on. It can go on for forever about, what your teammates that you need in order to make this a successful investment.
And that to me right there is the most critical part about being an investor, right?
What was that?
I mean, that to me right there is the most critical part about being an investor. You have to have the right team.
Yeah. And
just as you mentioned, you had the mentor before. It's all about networking and who you know.
Yep. And one thing that isn't on here, but is very important when buying properties in your IRA, is a custodian teammate who's going to handle your investment for you, like what Equity Trust does. So all of the things that I've talked about so far are very easy. It is easy to buy properties in your IRA because of what Equity Trust has done and the systems they've built in order to make it possible for you guys to buy and hold property in your IRA. And we have probably about 40% of our clients right now are lending money out of their IRA or are buying properties in their IRA. And Equity Trust is a teammate that makes it very easy to do that. And I know I'm sure there's going to be questions a lot later about specifics about buying properties in your IRA and how it works. And if there's questions at the end about that, I'll let Eric handle those. I'm not going to go into too much about how it works in your IRA, but I would want you guys to know, obviously, we have a lot of clients that buy properties in their IRA, and Equity Trust does make it very easy for them to do that. So going back to the teammates, you can find all these people on your own and do it yourself, or you can get one teammate to handle everything for you. That's what our clients do. Our clients use us as their only teammate, and we have the relationships with all the other individual teammates, the contractors, the property management company, and we handle everything for them. And there is other companies like us out there that do the same sort of thing. So, you don't have to use us, even if you do want to invest passively. But if you do want to invest passively, the best thing to do is to find someone who's going to do it all for you. We're a one-stop shop. There isn't a lot of companies like us out there where there is one number to call for anything. No matter what happens to it, you got one number, 904-677-6777. And that, if you have any questions, any issues, we handle everything for you. And so we're the teammate that our clients use. So I'm going to go through here talking about a couple of the must-have teammates, things that they need to have. The first one, obviously, is that in-house property management. So if you're hiring a company like ours to do it for you, they must have in-house property management. This is so crucial to the success of the investment that it's number one on the list of things. Because, like I said, we have one number that you can call if you have any questions, any issues. And the reason that's possible because we have an in-house property management company. So if you're buying a property from someone and then they're referring you to an outside property management company, there's no accountability there. They're not placing that tenant for you. So if your returns are different than what they promised, they're going to blame it on the property management company. And then the property management company is going to blame it on the people you bought the house from, saying, well, they were unrealistic about the rent. If you have a teammate that's handling the whole investment for you, like the Jacksonville Wealth Builders does, you want to make sure they have the in-house property management so the accountability is there. We're telling our clients what the property is going to rent out for and what their returns are going to be, and then we're renting it out for them and handling the property management. So we're responsible for the whole thing and we're accountable for it. And we always shoot to under-promise and over-deliver, make sure that our clients are making even better returns than we promised them. And we do that on a very consistent basis. So you want to make sure that the company you're dealing with has in-house property management. Here's a picture of Mike Stetson, our chief operating officer of our property management company, which is called Progress Property Management. Currently, we're running like I said, we track everything in our business. So all of our metrics are tracked on a day-to-day basis. We're running about a 3.9% vacancy rate right now and a 5.37% average on the average monthly maintenance cost. And I believe, actually, I made a mistake and I flipped those numbers. So it's actually, I think we're running about 5.37 on the vacancy and about 3.9 on the maintenance. But regardless, those numbers are very low compared to most property management companies because all of our properties are totally renovated on the front end. So new roof, plumbing, electric, AC. Like I talked about, whenever you're buying a cash flowing rental property, you want to make sure that those 4 systems have been upgraded to keep your maintenance costs down. And our vacancy cost is low because we do so many things on the front end to screen our tenants so that we're only putting good people in the property. So we have a huge leasing team that is out there marketing and finding potential tenants and driving in a lot of potential tenants so that we can screen out all the bad ones and only take the ones who we know are going to be great tenants. What we do is we require income verification so that we get verification in the form of W-2s or tax returns. They make at least 3 times the rental amount. So if the rent is $1,000, they need to verify they make at least $3,000 a month in income. We do a 7-year background check for any felonies and any evictions, which will immediately disqualify them if they've had any felonies or any evictions over the past 7 years. And we also do background checks with past landlords. So we call the past 2 landlords, and we've gotten very good at realizing if our tenants are giving us their friend's phone number instead of their actual landlord's phone number. And we talk to the landlord about what kind of tenant they were. And by doing these sort of things, we are able to put very good tenants in the property so they will continue to pay that rent and get our clients those great returns. And you want to make sure that any property management company you're dealing with is doing those same things. So the number 2 thing that your must-have teammates must have is to be committed to your success. So if you're dealing with a company that's going to handle this passive investment for you, you need to make sure that their goals are aligned with your goals. That the company you're dealing with, like Jacksonville Wealth Builders, has your best interests in mind. And we really do. We go above and beyond for our clients so they're happy, so they're making money, so they tell other people about us, and we can make more money. The pictures here are of a property that we bought and renovated and sold to a client of ours. 2935 Bethel Court. You can see the picture on the left is the before picture. Now that roof there, it's kind of hard to see, but the roof on the before picture actually looks really good. When I went out and inspected this property, it had a brand new roof on it, or the roof was about 2 or 3 years old. So I didn't put in any money to repair the roof because it had just recently been done. 2 years old, we'll keep a 2-year-old roof, absolutely. But during rehab, the picture on the right you can see is during rehab. During the rehab, I sent my roofer out there just to double check, and he got up on the roof and inspected it and found out that what had happened was the previous owner had laid brand new shingles over an old rotted roof. So there was a lot of rotted wood underneath that roof. And it was not going to hold. It was not going to be a good roof in the long term. It was going to end up leaking. So I didn't plan on putting on that new roof. In my numbers, I'd planned on keeping that roof. So if I'm going to replace that roof, it's going to cost me a lot of money. This is over a 2,000 square foot house with a garage. That was an $8,300 roof. But if you are really committed to your client's success and you're really putting your clients first in that situation, what do? You replace that roof. So it cost me an extra $8,300 to put a new roof on that property. It didn't cost our client a thing. Our client still got the same exact price for the house, even though I had to come out of pocket an extra $8,300 from what I was planning on, because I knew that by delivering that great product to Lisa, who was buying the property, that she would be happy with the product and she would end up buying more properties and telling more people about us. So our goals are aligned with our clients' goals. We make sure that they're going to be making the money we tell them they're going to make so that they are happy with their investment. And any company that you're using to handle your investments for you, you need to make sure that they're committed to your success. I have a ton of other examples where we do this time and time again for our clients. Just another example, actually, this is like the worst thing that can happen in buying and holding real estate, but I'm going to tell you the story. We had a client out of New York. His name is Adam. He's a gas station executive, so he works for Hess gas stations up in New York. And he bought a property from us, and this property was it was a really beat up property when we bought it. It needed a ton of structural renovations. So the left side of the house was actually sinking into the ground when we bought it. So we only hire licensed contractors. We pull all permits on all of our jobs. So we hired a company to come out, and they drive these great big piers into the ground, and then they put a bracket on the bottom of the house, and they put a 40-ton hydraulic jack in between the pier and the bracket, and they jack the house back into place. And it's got a 75-year warranty, and it's never going anywhere. Well, 6 months into the investment, now we rented out the house. The house is great. Adam's making money. He's real happy. Well, 6 months into Adam owning the property, the right side of the house started sinking into the ground. So we had fixed the left side of the house and had it, we had a 75-year warranty on it, and it was all good. Well, the right side of the house started sinking. Now, we warranty all the work that we do on our properties. So if we do work to it, it's got a 1-year warranty minimum on it. That structural work had a 75-year warranty. But we didn't do any work to the right side of the house, so it's not under warranty. The right side of the house is now sinking into the earth. The left side is very well supported by those piers and hydraulic jacks. But if you're telling your clients that they're going to get a turnkey investment and that we're going to handle everything for them, and their house starts sinking into the earth 6 months after they buy it, Eric, in that case, what's the right thing to do?
You got to replace it. You got to fix it.
You fix it.
That's
absolutely.
Right.
And so that's what we did. We called up Adam, say, hey, Adam, sorry to tell you, your house is sinking into the earth, but we're going to take care of it for you. So we hired that same company. They came out on the right side of the house. They drove the hydraulic piers they drove the piers into the ground. They put the brackets on the bottom of the house. They put the hydraulic jack in between, and they jacked up the right side of the house.
Yeah, Alex, I'm looking at these pictures. It looks like you replaced all the windows in the house too.
We did replace all the windows in that house, actually. Yep.
Yeah. So you're doing this on most of your houses, right? I mean, you're making sure the roof is good. You're replacing windows. You're doing all the right things. to make sure your return down the road is there. Is that what you're doing?
Exactly. You need to do the renovation the right way in order to make sure that you're getting a quality house that you can sell down the road whenever you do want to sell it, if you want to sell it, and also to keep those maintenance costs down. Absolutely.
I think that's an important lesson for real estate investors, to make sure when you start the rental that you have a house that is in great condition, so down the road you're not having all those monthly expenses.
Absolutely.
Right.
Great. Good eye, Eric. Can I finish my story now?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sorry to cut you off. I've been sitting here for 5 minutes waiting to ask the question, but go ahead. Now, so what happened?
So anyways, we repaired his house. He didn't need to worry about anything. He wouldn't even have known about it if we didn't call him and tell him, but of course we called him and told him. And that repair cost me $10,800 straight out of my pocket. I had already sold the house. It was done. It was a done deal. But we went ahead and went above and beyond, under promise and over deliver, to make sure that we're committed to our client success. And in the long run, we know it's gonna make us more money because Adam was ecstatic about it, and he's continued to buy more properties from us, and he's told a lot of people about us. This is one of the reasons why we've been able to grow so quickly, because the great word of mouth that we get because we perform for our clients. So you want to make sure that any company you're dealing with that's going to be handling your investments for you is doing those same sort of things. The number 3 thing that your teammate who's going to be handling your investment for you must have is proof that they're doing business. So you want to see a track record. You don't want to go with a company that's just starting out and they're telling you, yeah, I can handle your entire turnkey investment for you and find you real estate and rent it out without any proof that they're actually been doing business. So we obviously have a lot of that. I'm just going to scroll through some pictures of our clients. Sean Jagroup, just current clients who are currently buying rental property from us and making money with us. This is a picture of our office, actually in the middle. That's Tim Delp there, and that's Claude Leonidas, a client of ours. In the back, you can see this is our conference room in our office, and that's actually our mission statement is changing people's lives by delivering time ownership and financial security. So that's what our company is looking to do. And that board there, as you can see, is filled up with letters and testimonials from our clients, like thanking us for the great investment they've had. And that board, as you can see, and this is probably about 7 months ago, it's only about half full. It's now totally full, and we're on to board number 2. So we like to think that because we're getting all these thank you notes, we actually have been changing people's lives by delivering that time ownership and financial security. So just going through, there's another picture of the team. More clients getting these great cash flow checks. When they buy a property from us, we give them a check showing what their yearly rental income is going to be. Here's a client. This is actually Alan and Han, who bought that property in their IRA. So that property behind them on India Avenue is currently held in their IRA. So it's got a great tenant in and out that is paying rent to our property management company. Our property management company sends a check to the IRA, and they're getting these great returns in their IRA, totally tax-free. It's amazing possibilities with your IRA investing in real estate. Here's a testimonial from Lisa Wenzloff, who actually bought that rental property on Bethel Court that I gave that example about with the roof earlier. They bought 3 investment properties, saying they couldn't be happier. Lisa, actually, that property on Bethel Court, it's kind of funny. I own the property directly next door to that house on Bethel Court. So me personally, actually, I own 42 rental properties in Jacksonville, right in the same exact areas as we're currently selling properties to our clients. So this isn't just, something we're doing. It's something that we're in. I don't just sell properties. I own rental properties in the same exact neighborhoods, and actually directly next to Lisa's property on Bethel Court. Just another testimonial from Tony. Tony's also bought 3 properties from us. So you want to make sure that that there's proof that the company you're going to be working with is doing business. And the last thing, if you're going to work with a company like mine, you want to make sure that they have live events or some ability to meet the team, where you might be a totally passive investor and you might live in California and be perfectly comfortable buying properties in Jacksonville and not having to come out to Jacksonville to check them out. And we have a lot of clients that buy properties and that have never even seen the property and never come to Jacksonville. But some clients, they want to come and check it out and see the operation and meet the whole team. And you want to make sure if you're going to be working with a company like mine, you have the ability to do that. And we go ahead and bring clients out all the time. We have 2 clients in the office today. We had 2 clients in the office on Friday who come in, check out the operation, meet the team. And so that's very important to be able to do that. You guys can see here's a couple pictures of some events that we've had. We had a bus tour. We took some people to check out, see the properties. We held, seminar style events. But you want to make sure that you can do that to really make sure that the company's doing the kind of business that they're doing. So that about wraps up my presentation. Eric, do we have any questions? Well, actually, before we go to the questions, I want to just go to my next slide here. We have a special offer for you guys today. If you liked what you heard and you think that investing in cash flowing real estate is for you, we got this great free offer for you today. So if you go to self-directed IRA Jacksonville.com, that was self-directed IRA Jacksonville.com, there'll be a page where you can put in your information, and for free, we will mail you your investor's guide, which is a booklet that's going to have a lot more information about buying cash flowing real estate, what you need to be looking for. It goes even more in depth than we could go, in this hour today. An audio CD set with also a lot more information, and an opportunity for a free consultation with an investment advisor in our office. What we do when we have potential clients or people who are interested in owning cash flowing real estate is we'll have a consultation with them to talk about their goals, what they've been doing, what they're trying to achieve, and figuring out if they could be a good fit for us, to be clients for us. Because not everyone's a good fit for a passive real estate opportunity like this. So if you guys go to Self-Directed IRA Jacksonville, you can get all that stuff for free. If you don't want to speak with an investment advisor, there'll be a place where you can check off, and you don't have to do that. And you can just get the guide and the CD set. But definitely, if you did like what you heard today, you think that real estate might be a good place to invest. If you're actually going to take Warren Buffett's advice, then go to Self-Directed IRA Jacksonville and check that out. Eric, do we have any questions today from the audience?
We do. Do you have a few minutes to stick around with us for a little bit and answer some questions?
Yeah, I just let's go to the top 4 or 5. A couple more minutes here would be fine.
That sounds great. And so we can go through the questions, and then at the very end, I'll have a special offer for the group to help them out. And then also I'll talk a little bit about Greg Rand and tax-free wealth that's coming up as well. So the first question we have here is what fees does property management charge? So what is normally do you look for the property management company would charge?
Our normal in residential real estate, most people charge 10 to 12% is normal. So when I was subbing out my property management 4 or 5 years ago, I was hiring a company to do property management for us. We were actually paying 12%. My company charges 9% for property management, which is below market because, it's for us, it's a service we're providing to our clients. We want to make sure they're making those great returns. So we only charge 9% for property management. So if we have one of our clients has a property that's rented out for $1,000 a month, we would charge $90 a month to manage that property. And that's only charged if the property is rented out. So we only get paid for the rent that we collect.
So if the house remained vacant for 2 months, you're not going to charge them any fees for that?
Absolutely not. If the house is vacant for 2 months, we're not doing our job, so we shouldn't be getting paid.
Okay, great. Makes sense. So and the next one is, how is rent collected and paid to my IRA? So if you'll take, I guess, the first part of the question, how you guys handle it on your end, and I'll take the IRA portion of it.
Absolutely. So we require rent to be collected on the first of every month. So a tenant has to pay rent by the first of that month. And we are very proactive about doing things that will encourage our tenants to pay rent. They get an email blast on the 26th. They get a text blast on the 27th. They get a phone call saying, hey, you got your rent's due on the 1st. So we do those things. We collect rent on the 1st. And then rent is late on the 3rd. On the 3rd, they're getting a notice to evict dropped on their door saying, if you don't pay rent, we're going to start filing an eviction. And we train our tenants from the very beginning that these things are going to be happening so that they actually pay rent on time. And it's amazing what a difference it makes when you have a property management company that does these sort of things in order to get rent collected. So my company collects the rent, and then we pay out the rent on the 26th of the month. Sometimes no matter what you do, you're going to have some slow pays. You're going to have people that, their check was late this month. So we collect the rent over the course of the month, and we pay our owners on the 26th. We wire the money or do the direct deposit or send out those checks. And I guess you can talk a little bit more about how it works from the IRA standpoint, Eric.
Right, and so on the IRA side, it's very simple. If it's your Roth account or a 401k that owns the rental property, Alex, the management company, would mail it to us, and we would directly deposit it into the account. If it was a multiple accounts that owned the house, so for instance, if you had your Roth, your 401k, and maybe your 3 kids' CISA accounts, your Coverdale accounts, the client can still make one check to the management company. They would mail it in, and all Alex's team does, or whoever mails it in, the management company would write what the account numbers are and what the percent of undivided interest is, and then we take care of everything on our end and split it and put it into the right account. So on our end, we've tried to make it very simple.
Yeah. And
go ahead, Alex.
For our clients, we handle all this stuff for them. So for our clients that own properties in their IRA, these really aren't even questions that they need to concern themselves with, because we have such a great relationship with Equity Trust. We've done this a bunch, and we kind of handle everything for them. So
yeah, we work very well with management companies. It actually makes the process a lot simpler. So the next one is, how do you find tenants for your properties? That's a great question. How do you go out there and find tenants, Alex?
I went into this a little bit, where we have a rental leasing team that's out there every day scouring, Jacksonville for tenants. Specifically, some things that we do is we do a lot of online marketing. So we use Craigslist and Postlets, and there's various other publications that will syndicate your rental properties to a lot of the lists out there, like Trulia and Zillow and all these propertyrentals.com, things like that. So we do a lot of online stuff, and we have a leasing team of about 6 to 7 agents that's out there actually doing this work. So they post the properties online, and they continually post them on Craigslist, and they syndicate them to all these websites. And then we also have people who put out signs. So we buy those 18 by 24 inch signs, and you write property for rent, 4.2, $10.50 a month, and they put them out, and they take in phone calls from those. Those are the 2 main ones for us. Would be online lead generation, and those signs are the main ways that our property leasing team drives in those tenant leads.
Okay. Well, let's
questions
take one more
about the rental side.
Yeah, absolutely.
which is good, because that's that's the key to having a successful investment. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
Got time for one more?
Absolutely. That's the income and ROI, right? So let's do one more. Let's see. How do you find all the houses that you're buying? That's another great question. So how do you go out in the market and actually purchase and decide which houses that you go and buy?
Well, we buy most of our properties, like I said, from the banks. So these are properties that have already been foreclosed on, and now the bank is the owner. And we have developed very good relationships with the top real estate agents that are listing these bank-owned properties. So if you go onto the MLS right now in your area, whatever one you're in, and you do a search for just bank-owned property, it'll come up with a list. Maybe it'll be 10 properties, maybe it'll be 200, depending on your area. And you look at who the listing agent is on those properties, you're going to see the same names over and over again. And those are the top REO agents in your area, the people that have those relationships with Bank of America, with Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae, with Wells Fargo, that are getting these listings from them. And those are the people that you want to build relationships with. Now, I'll tell you, you can't just call them up and ask them to go out to lunch, because they're busy, they're making a lot of money, they don't care who you are. What you need to do, if you're looking to build relationships with these people, is start submitting a lot of offers, and actually, when you get a property under contract with one of them, actually perform and close on it like you say you're going to do. And then once you start paying them commissions and making them some money, then you can, call them up and ask them to take them out to lunch and really build that personal relationship. But that's really been key for us, is those relationships with those REO agents and buying properties. And what we do when we find a property that we are going to go look at. We do a full inspection on it. So we go out there and we do a repairs estimate on it. So we know how much it's going to cost to fix up. And then because we know how much it's going to cost to fix up, we know what we can offer in order to still make a profit on the property. And that's how we submit our offers. So it doesn't matter what the property is listed for. It only matters what we can sell it for and what it's going to cost to fix up. And that's what determines our offer. So does that answer the question?
Yeah, that was perfect. It all gets back to networking and creating the right team. So that all makes sense to me. So like I mentioned before, I wanted to do something special since Alex spent the time with us today and helped our Equity Trust clients out. I wanted to do an IRA checkup. I normally only do this at no charge at our tax-free wealth events, but because he came here today, I wanted to, for our clients and potentially prospects, wanted to let them take a look at their IRAs. And so I've got some senior account executives that I'm going to have do a full IRA checkup for them. And normally if you call into our store or to our shop, it's $125. If you called in today, call the 800 number, we charge $125 to take a look at your situation. And, it's very simple. They ask you 15 or 20 questions and then take a look at what you're trying to do, what your goals are, either 10, 20, 30 years down the road. Look at what kind of accounts you have now and the kinds of returns that you're expecting and getting out of it, and kind of give you connect the dots, if you will, and kind of give you a roadmap on how to get there. So because Alex was nice enough to spend some time here today, I wanted to make that offer. If you would, you just go ahead and copy and paste and put that in your browser, trustetc.com/offer/020, and you can get signed up for no charge. So while you're doing that, I'll give you a few seconds to do that. Again, you just copy and paste it and put it in your browser. But Alex had mentioned Greg Rand, and we actually just put this together. Again, he's with ownamerica.com. He's got a national radio program. I think he has about 5 million listeners nationally. But he's partnering with us where he's going to go into the city a few days before I go in. And I think Houston and Dallas is going to be the first one. I think he's going to be there in Houston on Tuesday, and then he's going to be in Dallas on Wednesday. And then I come in on Saturday and Sunday, May 20th and 21st. So if you're interested in going to Greg Rand's event, you can do that. And then if you go to Greg Rand's event, you can come to my event as well. So if you're interested in that, you can email Sarah Tornabene, and that is s.tornabene, TORNABENE, at trustetc.com. Again, s.tornabene at trustetc.com. Just tell her that you heard Greg Rand and Eric Thomas was going to do tax-free wealth in Houston and Dallas. It'll be a great event. He'll go in there for a full day and talk about what he's good at and Own America, and then I'll go in there on Saturday and Sunday and talk about how you do it within your IRA or retirement account. I'll talk about the 8 different accounts that you can have, why you want all those tools working for you, and kind of go from there. So again, email Sarah Tornabene if you're interested in that, and then for the IRA checkup, just put it to your browser. I'll tell you, Alex, it was very informative today. I really do appreciate your time and helping teach our clients and prospects here.
Yeah, no problem, man. I appreciate you guys having me. It's always, we really love working with Equity Trust, and it's amazing what you guys do for your clients. So it's always good to give back and give a little bit of info. And I want to mention for you guys about this IRA checkup thing. Even if you have an IRA already, it's amazing the things that you don't know you can do. Every time I go to one of the tax-free wealth things, I always learn something new about the different accounts you can have and CISAs and HSAs and health accounts. So it's, even if you already have an IRA, a self-directed IRA, and you think you know what you're doing, it is definitely worth it. If it's free to talk to a senior advisor over there and have them show you what else you can be doing. So definitely check out that free IRA checkup offer.
That's a great point. That's a great point, Alex.
Yeah.
Well, again, I appreciate it. Have a good evening, and we'll see you soon. Okay, Alex?
All right, man. Appreciate you having me on. You guys have a good one.
All right. Thank you.